ladies and gentlemen, welcome back into the channel for another podcast. I know it has been a very, very long time, and I do apologize about that. Should be more podcasts coming on a more regular basis after this, but as you can see, I am by myself today. I got some gameplay going back in the background, some Super Mario Odyssey, so you can watch that as I just share my thoughts about whatever comes to my head, plus all the viewer questions. And as always, if you have any questions you want to be answered on the podcast, you can comment them on any video, especially this one, but any video on the channel. Just make sure you say, for the pod or whatever. Also, you can join our Discord if you would like, and you can ask questions there. And also in the Discord, we'll do game nights together. In the future, we're looking to do some movie nights, but we're also always just talking about different games and other stuff in life. So, if that would interest you, I'll put a link in the comment section, or in the description rather, for the Discord if you'd like to join that. So without further ado, I think we're gonna just start with some questions, and then we'll kind of see where that takes me from there. So, starting with Nathan, asking his first question on the podcast ever. Shout out Nathan, big time supporter. But he's asking, what games did we play growing up? And I think me and Hayden talked about this a little bit in a previous podcast, but I want to touch on it a little bit more because I think we could have gone in a little bit more depth about specific games. And I know there was definitely some games that me and Hayden probably didn't share as much. So for me, like, my gaming path kind of started from Game Boy, GameCube. I couldn't even tell you which one I got first. But, like, those were the first consoles I got, and then, natural progression of, like, DS, Wii, 360, and then, eventually got myself 3DS, and then, like, Xbox One, and then I've gone even to the Xbox Series X, and then play a lot of games on PC now. Never had a PlayStation, I will say that, even though there's so many PlayStation games I want to play, but that there's just, they have such great exclusives over there, and I'm like, I just want to play them. A lot of them are getting ported over to PC, which is awesome. Like things like God of War, the Spider-Man games. So I definitely want to check those out in time because they're so good. I've heard so many great things, and I'd really love to play them. But there's so many other great PlayStation games that haven't been ported over yet. That'd be super fun to try. But so yeah, that's kind of my progression. With GameCube and Game Boy, a lot of Nintendo, I would say. So a lot of Mario type games. I mean, you're talking about, Smash Bros, Mario Kart are the big ones, and then along with like any, eventually you get to like New Super Mario Bros. I played that on DS and Wii a ton. I played a few, like Crash. I played a Crash game on GameCube. Super Monkey Ball. I remember like Madden, like maybe 06 or 07, or I played a lot of Mario Party on that for sure. And then I just had a lot of other like random Game Boy games. If you guys ever played the Chicken Little Game Boy game, I absolutely loved that game. There was like a dodgeball mode. There's like a racing mode in it. It was actually a difficult game too. There was this like, I don't know if it was like an alien section. Oh my gosh, that was so difficult when I was young. Like, I just couldn't beat it. But so a lot more miscellaneous games on Game Boy for sure. But like the main categories that I was in are like those Nintendo titles. Never played like a ton of Zelda. I had a few Zelda games on GameCube, and I think I was just way too young to like fully understand the game and like figure it out. And so I never really picked it up again. But now I'm like super, into those games, wanting to play them more. So that's kind of interesting how that works. But then once I get over to DS and Wii, playing more of those titles, you're talking about games like Mario Hoops 3-on-3. Shout out anybody who knows about that game. A Mario Sports Mix, Super Slugger, Superstar Baseball, played a ton of, along with like Mario Kart, Double Dash, and Wii. What else did I play on Wii? Wii's, I think when I dove into some other titles as well, like I had a Kirby game I think, was it Kirby's Epic Yarn I may have had. But there was also Madagascar. Oh my gosh, the Madagascar GameCube game I love. That's a story for another time. But what I know, there's a few other titles. I didn't love the Mario. I had a Mario Party on Wii. Didn't love it, so I didn't really play Mario Party on the Wii. A little bit more like NBA and Madden. I picked up on the Wii, and then as I got even older, I started to enjoy sports even more. So then once I got to like Xbox, I played a lot more sports titles. Then I started playing, the FPS titles. So I, loved Modern Warfare 2. Like on 360, that was the big thing with me and my friends to all play that together. Super fun times. Modern Warfare 3, loved playing survival mode. That was so fun with friends. And then, you get to Call of Duty, like playing zombies together on Black Ops 2 and 3. Just such great times. Zombies is still like one of my favorite modes of any game. And especially once you get to, if you have a PC and then you can do custom zombies, like I can't recommend that enough. Besides the fact that there's some potential issues with it now. If you know, but nonetheless, that's kind of where that's how it started. And I guess to kind of finish it, now that I have a PC, I've gotten like way more open with the types of titles that I'm playing. Even right when I got my Xbox Series X, that's when I really expanded the titles that I had played, because for a few years before that, I was kind of just stuck in a rut of like playing, NBA 2K and Madden in those titles a lot. And I'm like, I'm just sick of the yearly releases that, like, and I had a whole rant. Me and Hayden had a rant about this in one of the other podcasts. You can go check that out. But so I'm not gonna fully go into it. But I just got sick of playing the Call of Duties and the sports titles that release every year and are unpolished, have so many bugs, and just like there's not that much new about them. So at that point, I really tried to dive into other titles and genres, and that's when I picked up Red Dead Redemption 2 for the first time. I had never played like an true open world game like that. Never had an experience like that before. Fell in love with it. Since then I've played like Assassin's Creed Valhalla, which I know a lot of people don't hold in like super high regard compared to a lot of the Assassin's Creed. And I know a lot of people say the newer age Assassin's Creeds aren't, they don't have the same feel as the old ones, but I still really enjoyed the title. And, I plan on playing more Assassin's Creed games in the future. But so got more into those genres that I never had really picked up as a kid. And then also on PC, just playing a lot more like indie games, smaller games that, are not super well known. I just like, Escape Simulator on Steam is just phenomenal. That's, based on escape rooms. Even I played another one, Escape Academy. That's an escape room game. That's with a little bit more of a story to it. Like really fun, unique, cool game. Not super long, but like it doesn't need to be. It's great. And Phasmophobia, we talked about that in another podcast. Like such a great horror game. I truly believe that's going to be like the future of horror games, like being able to play that with your friends. Like I have no doubt, and those developers seem like they know what they are doing completely, and they're putting so much work into the game. I have no doubt that's going to become like a mainstay, like one of the most popular horror games as we move forward here. But yeah, so that's kind of where I'm at now. And now recently getting a Switch, I'm now even diving into so many Switch titles that I wanted to play for so long. As you can see, Super Mario Odyssey is on the screen, which I had heard so many good things about. Hayden just raved about this game to me, and so now we're finally playing it. And as of recording, I've actually beat Bowser in the game, so nowhere near like 100% completion, but I've technically beat the game. Haven't made it to like Dark Moon Island or anything like that, but I'm enjoying the game. And even though I technically beat the game, I love the game so much, and I love the world, and I love trying to find all the moons and coins, that I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to end up dropping it before I 100% this game, but I'm not ready to put this game down and go to another one. So I'm like, I'm going to keep streaming this game because it's so much fun. And, if you like Super Mario Odyssey, you can go to our streams and watch watch back all the streams because the VODs of this game are up on the channel. So, there's a little plug there. But, yeah, so definitely wanted to dive into more Steam games. Or Steam games and Switch games is what I was trying to say for sure. There's just so many great titles out there that you just can't go wrong. But yeah, so that's kind of where I'm at, Nathan. Oh, I'll just try to name a few more. One that popped into my head, like Lego Star Wars. As a kid, I had it on Game Boy, played that a ton, and then I had it on GameCube as well. I'm trying to think. I think that about covers it. Like the games I played the most. Oh, well then I can't forget about Pokemon as well. I played that all the way from the Game Boy, like up until now, like starting with Gen 3, like the Leaf Greens, Fire Red, and then Ruby Sapphire, obviously. But I also had a copy of Silver for my Game Boy too, which was really cool. And I mean, I've played it ever since. I haven't played the super new ones. Obviously, I haven't had a Switch, so I haven't had the opportunity to play them. But they don't interest me as much. And also, Pokemon in general interests me a tad bit less now. I still, don't get me wrong, I still love the game, but what is the most fun to me about Pokemon now is, like, to me, there's just not enough that captivates me about the game. Like, the mechanics, perfect. Like, it's exactly my type of game. Like, you capturing different monsters, leveling them up, like, upgrading them. They get better moves, they get stronger. Like, the worlds are great. Everything is super appealing to me, but there's not a very good story because they're made, it's appealing to very young kids. There's not really a good story. They're not challenging at all. So, like, I'm just not super engaged when I play them. So, like, the way that I play games, or I play Pokemon games now, is where I do Nuzlocke, which is, a type of challenge mode where, if a Pokemon faints, you can't use it anymore, and you have a limited amount of Pokemon that you can catch. And I usually even do even harder runs than that, where you can't heal in battle. And you also play on set mode and stuff. So, like, that to me is what makes Pokemon super fun to me. And I don't need to be playing, like, an incredibly difficult game, but there needs to be some other element that's super appealing to me. So, like, if it's a great story mode game, like if I played Assassin's Creed Valhalla, not on, like, the hardest difficulty. I think as I got my character got super strong, I turned it up. But, like, you're not really playing that game for its difficulty. It's not like an Elden Ring or something. It's for the world, and it's story, which you could argue. I didn't love the story as much in that game because it's not one kind of complete story. It's a lot of sagas, because that's, like, kind of a Viking thing that they tried to implement, but that's a sidebar. But anyways, so I think that kind of answers that question, Nathan. Let's do a few questions from Fortunate here. He had a lot of rapid fire questions. We're gonna do a few of these, and then we're gonna dive into the topic from Luigi Corp, which I'm super excited to talk about. So Fortunate was saying the best console. This kind of ties in with the last question. For him, it's the PlayStation. I'm assuming we're not talking about PC, because PC isn't a console, but if you're counting PC in this question, just like best thing to play video games on, I would go PC, just because it has the most flexibility. I mean, you can get the best graphics on it. It has the biggest variety of games because you have basically all Xbox games. You even have some PlayStation games, and then if you have emulators and stuff, you can even play a lot of the older titles as well from different consoles. But if we're just talking consoles, to me it's the GameCube. I'm not super big into the, like, console wars, Xbox versus PlayStation, but to me, GameCube takes the cake. I think it was the most ahead of its time. Like, I think if you show those games to people, you show them the graphics, the games, and their features and everything about it, to somebody who is not into video games, knows nothing about the GameCube, and ask them, like, when do you think this is from? I think they're going to guess much later than when the GameCube and those games actually came out. I think it was super ahead of its time graphically. A lot of the games and their controls and different concepts, super ahead of its time. A massive step up from the N64. And so to me, It's that there's so many phenomenal titles on there, and it's just to me it takes the cake. We're talking like in between Xbox and PlayStation. Look, I think there's pros and cons. I think the systems themselves are basically the same. Like graphically, all the specs to me, I don't know, they're basically the same. To me, it's really just like what you kind of value. Especially if you're on a budget. Like for now, Xbox may take the cake for you just because you can get the Series S, which is should be more powerful than like the PlayStation 4 or Xbox One. And if you don't have the money to get the PS5 or Xbox Series X, like that's a good value for you. Or if you prioritize just truly the best games, maybe you go PlayStation, because I think PlayStation has the edge in the exclusive title department, especially in recent years. So, or if you're just trying to get value and you like trying out a ton of different games, I think, you may lean towards Xbox because of Xbox Game Pass, which is just an incredible deal. And I know PlayStation has kind of implemented their own version of that, but it's nowhere near the value that Xbox is still in. Xbox, like over 1,000 titles and stuff. It's just wild. And, a lot of great games you get day one releases too, which, that in and of itself, like if you're talking about a day one release nowadays, you're talking about a game that's $60 or $70. If you don't have to pay for that game because it gets put out on Xbox Game Pass, that one game alone that is paying for, I don't know exactly what Xbox Game Pass is going for nowadays, but that one game is paying for at least like half of Xbox Game Pass, I think, for the year. So, like, it's a great value. No doubt. So I think it kind of is just all what you're like prioritizing between those two consoles. So that's kind of my answer there. What do I like most about making videos? And Fortunate said we had kind of answered this. I feel like I remember kind of touching on this in another podcast, but I don't know if it was like in a similar sense or if it was kind of this exact question. So I didn't know. So we'll talk about this for a second. Really like with making videos, and I think me and Hayden did talk about this in a previous episode where we were saying, we just love, like we didn't start this with something specific in mind. It was truly Hayden, me, and Caleb. Like we were just so hyped after the Spider-Man movie. And, like, we all three of us had such heated debates before about, like, oh, who's the best Spider-Man, or, like, which Spider-Man version had the best movies and things like that. So when all three of them came together in that movie, it was just, like, the worlds colliding for us, and we just couldn't wait to talk to each other about this, and we're like, we need to document it. And so that's what we did. And, again, that video's still on the channel. The quality is nowhere near what it is now. But, hey, if that interests you, you can scroll all the way back and you can find that video. But yeah, so that we didn't really start with something specific in mind, but I think as me and Hayden have continued to make videos and just keep posting, like we've really enjoyed being able to interact with everybody. I'd say like building I know that's not part of making videos, so I'll touch on that in a second. But I think like feeling like we're building a community, I think is like one of the greatest things for us, where super tight knit community. Like that's why we've tried to implement so many things to help that, if that makes sense. I couldn't think of a better word, but like we could just keep uploading videos and respond to a few comments here and there, like things like that. But we truly try to respond to every single comment. We've implemented things like the Discord, in like this podcast where you guys can ask us questions or just talk with us in the Discord, or we're even doing game nights together. That's why I've been trying to do a lot more live streams this summer where we get to chat constantly. And what's great about that is, one thing that I've said about making videos is we want it to be less of like, oh, you're watching us play a game, and it's like you're experiencing the game with us. And you can do that in a stream a lot more. And so that's really cool. But at the same time, you'll see a lot of our videos specifically have like a very specific tone to them. Like if you think back to like the Smash videos we did together, like all the Mario Karts, like the way that the commentary style is, the world that we try to build. And we've behind the scenes stuff, me and Hayden we want to go further with the world building with games and stuff. And we actually planned on doing it for a backyard baseball title, and it just logistically couldn't work, but we think we may be able to do that on a Mario Superstar Baseball. So in due time, it'd be a massive project, but like we want to try to do something like that because I don't know, that we love that aspect of trying to be creative, and like that aspect of making videos is appealing to us. Like how can we, like we're telling a story with the game. It's almost like a TV show. At least with like the series that I'm talking about, the Mario Kart stuff, not exactly, because every single one doesn't completely build off the next, but for where we want to take that form of video, it would be more like a TV show and a very succinct story following like a specific character or characters. But yeah, so we'd love to do that. But yeah, so the best part about making videos, like honestly, it's so easy for me and Hayden because it's a lot of the time it's just like us playing a game, clicking the record button. So like, I mean, the best part about like specifically making a video, like the actual recording it, is just that. It's just simply recording, because like we're just playing games together, which like we'd be doing that anyway, like whether we were recording it or not. So it's super cool that we can share that with you all, and that we can entertain you guys with these videos while we're like playing along, and we try to put our kind of own touch and flair on whatever we're playing, and that's kind of with the commentary style that we've implemented through all these different games. But yeah, like the biggest thing for us though is that community, and we want to. I actually just said this on a recent stream when Natalie was talking about it. And she's like, oh, we gotta figure out how to get you guys, more subscribers, and build up the 3Ps Media community. And I was like, yes, absolutely. Like, we gotta spread the word. We gotta build this up, because that's what we want. We want to keep growing this community. But I said on that stream, I'm like, no matter how big we get, like I think our goal is to keep that small community feel where you can still feel super close and tight-knit with us and all the other members in the community. And as if the channel keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger, that does become more of a challenge, obviously. But I think me and Hayden really want to prioritize that, just because I think that's what's so special about YouTube in general, is like being able to have that with the community. So that's kind of my thoughts on that, I would say. Worst job or side hustle? Fortunate asks. That's a good one. We'll say I've only worked for 2 different companies so far, and they were, one of them I really, really loved. The other definitely had its ups and downs. But I mean, I enjoyed both. So I'm trying to think, is there a side? I mean, I haven't really had side hustles. Yes, I don't have a great personal answer to this question. I would just say, for me personally, like, I wouldn't want to work in the fast food industry. And there's nothing wrong with it whatsoever. But I think for me personally, like, I just don't really want to be messing with other people's foods, like, that's just not how I want to be, like, helping people with a specific job. Like, teach people things or help them, assist them in, finding certain products or like whatever in like a retail store or something, but like I don't know. I just don't really want to be responsible for making people's food. And then also, I think it would also like if when I'm back there like making food, I'd like get grossed out and like not want to eat at these places again. So I don't know. There's that. But yeah, I don't know. That's kind of my answer. That's just like a personal thing, though. I just personally don't really want to work at a fast food place, but I think that question can vary so much for different people. Like I feel like if you're just starting out getting your first job, there's probably a lot of people that are like, oh, have worked fast food and they're like, oh, I don't mind it at all. It's easy. It's not that bad. Like, I almost like enjoy it. Time flies. And I'm sure there's other people that kind of agree with me and they're like, oh, it's the worst, or I would not want to do that. So it's interesting. All right. Now, before we answer more of those kind of quick hitters, I want to talk about Luigi Corp's question. This is near and dear to the heart. He talks about a potential Mario Baseball 3. We've had Superstar Baseball on the GameCube. We've had Super Sluggers on Wii. We're still waiting on Mario Baseball 3. I was informed by Nathan that on, Mario Sports Superstars or something for 3DS, there is a baseball mode, and I watched a little gameplay of that. Certainly not as advanced as Sluggers or Superstar Baseball, but we need a Baseball 3, okay? We need it. And so what Luigi Corp is asking was, are there any concepts you'd love to see to be implemented, any characters that they could add, and then for the team captains that you think the game would have, what kind of rosters do you think that they would have for the game? So that's a nice, fun little, kind of theory craft for it. This as well. So the first thing, any concepts I'd like to see. I think I really want the game to be pretty simple. I think Superstar Baseball did it very well, where the game mechanically was very simple. There really wasn't a lot to learn. Super easy to get into. Like, you play a few games, you're gonna know how the game works. Then, although it's very hard to master, though, and there are so many nuances between the different characters and whether you charge swing or you slap hit, you don't go for a charge swing, and which characters have specials, and some characters are pull hitters and push hitters, and so when you look at characters' hitboxes and their hidden stats, because the actual stats that the game tells you aren't like the actual stats of the characters, and like I could get so technical with it. And so if you're trying to like play the game competitively, which some people do, like there's so many intricacies that you need to learn, and it's a very difficult game to master, and like there are characters that are objectively better at certain positions and things like that. But it's super easy to get into, and it's super easy to pick up, and those are the best types of games where they're not complex at the beginning, where it's super easy to pick up, learn, feel kind of comfortable with it, and then it's kind of addicting where you want to keep getting better and things like that. So I kind of want the game to stay simple. I don't need a ton of whistles and bells in the game. So I just hope they don't overcomplicate it, but what could be a fun concept or like mechanic that they could add? I think it would be different pitch types. So I know that the Sports Superstars does have different pitch types, like sinkers and things like that. I think I would like that, but to me, the pitching style of Superstar Baseball, like to me, I want them to stick to something like that, and I doubt they would, where both, no matter if you're like pitching or hitting, you're looking from the same angle. You're looking from the batter's angle. I like that. I like that a lot. And they have the fastball and changeup in that game, and I guess a curveball is you just moving it to the left or right. But if they could add like one or two more pitch types, like I think that'd be pretty cool. Or specifically like in Superstar Baseball, everybody has a different changeup, where some people's changeups are super low and fast. And then you have some people that have changeups that go so high and slow, and they like go off the screen for a second, and then they like come down, and you have to try to react to it. So a little bit more variety because that in Superstar Baseball you kind of just have like different people throw at different speeds, and then they can curve the ball more or less for a specific pitch. So I think I'd just like to see a tad bit more advancement in the pitching department, maybe with a few different pitches. And then I think I'd just like to see more types of abilities, I think, because I don't want every character to be good like in Super Sluggers where everybody had a great star hit and you can star hit with anybody and it's almost a guaranteed hit. Like I want there to be tiers of characters. Like these are the top tier characters, but then these are the bottom tier characters. But I don't want it to be like Superstar Baseball where the bottom tier characters, like you're never picking them. You know what I mean? I want the bottom tier characters to still have something going for them. And so if you give maybe those characters a slight edge in the hitting department or in like with their star, it gets a little bit better than they were in Superstar Baseball. Or make sure that every character has at least one ability that gives them utility to be maybe an above average fielder at a specific position, right? Or maybe you make bunting a more complex thing where it's like own stat, so a lot of characters are terrible at bunting. So maybe the bad characters, a bad character who has very good speed and has a terrible hitting stat and has no power, right? Maybe they're an excellent bunter and they're really good at laying down a bunt right down the line, and they can bunt for a base hit quite often. But at worst, you're using them to move the runner, and if they get on base, maybe they have a great steal rating. You know what I mean? So I think a steal rating would be cool too, to just different ways to add viability to different characters. So I would say that. What characters they should add? I don't know what characters they added in Sports Superstars, but any characters that you had in that game, you could for sure toss into the next game. I mean, obviously like Rosalina should definitely be in it. Pauline, like a lot of the staples that you're seeing in games like Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, like a lot of those just poured them over to Superstar Baseball. I know the Dinger City, one channel that uploads a ton of Superstar Baseball. They're big on was it Boshi, like the Bowser Yoshi crossover guy. So that'd be pretty cool. I didn't even know about him before that, but that would seem like a cool idea. I mean, I think like the Koopalings, gotta throw them in there. I think kind of like Mario Kart, where you have characters from crossing over from different games. Like they've done that with Smash. I mean, they have characters from like every game, but you have like Link in Mario Kart. I think probably like the Splatoon character, so you can add in some of those for sure. I feel like that would just, and I think that would kind of would be good to draw in other fans, because like even if you're a Mario fan, you may not be interested in getting Superstar Baseball or in another Mario baseball game, because maybe you're just not like, you don't like baseball that much, right? But if you add in characters from other games that people are a big fan of, I was like, oh, Link is in this game, like that could incentivize some people to give it a try, because they want to play with Link and try to hit home runs with Link and stuff like that. So I think that'd be pretty cool. So the team captain rosters, this is interesting. So I think both Superstar Baseball and Sluggers have had very similar captains, where it's been like Mario, Luigi, Peach, Daisy, Yoshi, Birdo, DK, Diddy, Bowser, Bowser Jr., Wario, Waluigi. And I think that's every captain from. I think both games had the same captains, if I'm not mistaken. I think it's those exact same captains. I think all of them should be captains, definitely. And then I think you should probably add, I don't know, maybe like probably 4 to 6 more. I'd say Rosalina, definitely put her in there. Who else should be a captain? Who else? You have characters like King Boo or Petey. Funky Kong's a fan favorite. Like King K. Rool. I don't really think any of them should be captains though. Like you need a more. I think like some of the crossover characters like a Link could, if you have if they're not DLC, because some of those characters would probably be DLC. That's how Switch does their games now. But I mean, if a character like Link or somebody came out on release, I think you definitely should have those bigger name crossover characters like Link's, the main character from one of the most popular franchises. So like, let him be a captain. I can't think of anybody else off the top of my head. I feel like let me see. Okay, if you went the route of like King Bomb, that'd be pretty cool. He's just like one of the best hitters in the game. Just constantly hits bombs, as in home runs. You put EGAD in the game? Oh my, would that be something? Pauline could definitely be another captain as well. Get another female in there. Would not mind that at all. But yeah, I really don't think you need to add too many other captains though. Just because, I mean, the captains, and not that they're guaranteed to be the best characters in the game, but they have an extra attribute or ability with them. They usually have the better pitch, special hits and pitches. But I mean, I think both games kind of had each team captain kind of had their own team, right? If you play, the Superstar Baseball Challenge mode, like you're playing against, when you play against DK's team, it's him, Diddy, Dixie, Goomba, Paragoomba, and then Koopa, Paratroopa, right? And same with Super Sluggers. When you at the end, when when you're running around like Wario's town or Yoshi's Park, like all the characters that are on their team are in that location. So Yoshi, it's like him, Birdo, Wiggler, all the other like colored Yoshis. Did I say Shy Guy? I don't know what. I think I meant to say Shy Guy, and I don't know. Maybe I said something very different. I have no idea. But I feel like they kind of have the teams done, like fleshed out pretty well. They did move the Koopas and Paratroopers and Goomba and Paragoomba to Wario's team in Wii, and that was to make room for all the other Kongs they added. And then because they added Critter, King K. Rool, Tiny, Baby DK, and Funky, so they needed room on his team, which makes sense. And all those characters should be on DK's team, but the Goombas and Koopas, like that felt out of place. Like that should be on Bowser's team. I think they should take out color variants more, because you're going to have so many more characters in the game. You don't need the color variant. So Bowser can have room for it to be him, Bowser Jr., Koopa, Paratroopa, like Hammer Bro, Magikoopa or Kamek. I mean, you could add, and then you could go all three, because, Hammer Bro, Fire Bro, Boomerang Bro, they can all have different bats. Those are like, that might be like the one exception for different, colored characters that I'd be okay with, because at least they're different from like red Magikoopa and yellow Magikoopa, or red Toad and yellow Toad. Like Peach's team doesn't need that. Like just let it be Peach, Daisy, Toadsworth, Toadette, Toad, and whoever else. If you want to keep Petey there, and if you didn't like make Pauline a captain, or you have plenty of options. But I think you could take away the color variants, and because the roster list is just going to be so much larger anyway. But yeah, I think both of the previous games did a pretty good job with the rosters. Basically just remove the color variants from each of those teams, and then just like fill in the gaps with some of the other characters, like Bowser's team. If he needed more spots, you could throw on the Koopalings, or I guess one or two Koopalings. So you don't have roster spots to add like 5 Koopalings on a team or something. But yeah, so that's that. I do hope that they have another like story mode or challenge mode to the game, like they had in Superstar Baseball and Sluggers. That's kind of the last thing I'll say on that. I did like that, and I want that to be back in the game. So some form of that, definitely bring it. Okay, let's go back to some of these other questions from Unfortunate here. Are aliens real? Man, we're getting real here. Are aliens real? This is actually something me and Hayden have talked about a decent amount. Hayden's super into these types of conversations. Truthfully, like, my answer is I don't know. And I mean, I say that because I don't know. Like, I haven't been presented any evidence that they are confirmed 100% real, but at the same time, I'm not somebody who's like, there's no way that could be real. So I'm kind of in the I'm truly like super in the middle on this topic. If you're telling me I had to pick one way, I think I would lean towards they are real. I think my guess is there's some sort of other life being in life form out there in the world that just is doing their own thing. They just kind of mind their own business and don't know about us, just like we don't know about them, or don't want to interact with us. If I had to guess, like I'm probably like 55% lean on that side, 45% they're not real. I mean, it's truly a coin toss for me, but I know we've seen stuff from like, oh, here's some documents or footage from this, or I mean, I don't know. I truly have no idea. I feel like as the years go on, more stuff could get leaked and revealed, or maybe we get more evidence, but until there's something like super concrete and conclusive, I'm still always going to be a little hesitant on it. But I'm not going to be one of those people that just completely shuts it down. I'm like, there's no way that this is possible. Then are you a hot weather guy, or do you like the cold? So I know I think Fortunate kind of likes the cold because he lives where it's super, super hot, and he'll be out there like mowing the grass, and it'll just be miserable out there in the summer. I'm definitely a warm weather guy. I would so much rather be hot than cold, like infinitely. So definitely more warm weather. Although, a place like Florida to me is a little too similar in its weather year round. Like I want a little bit. I'm not saying I would need a full 4 seasons, but like I don't have to have snow, if that makes sense. But I want to have a really nice fall. Like I love fall. That's my favorite season. And I don't just want it to be like 80 degrees or 70 degrees and sunny every single day. Like I think having those, 50 something degrees and a little windy and cloudy on some fall day, like that's super nice weather, super underrated. But also like it just makes you appreciate the 75 and sunny days even more, right? So that's kind of where I land on that one. What do you think about people that don't shower every day? I think Fortunate is not a fan. He thinks you should be showering every day. And I definitely tend to agree with you, Fortunate. I think you probably should be showering every day. To me, that's not that it's less of a gripe. No, I guess I haven't thought about that as much. The debate that I always see is, do you shower at night or in the morning? And that's a big thing, right? And I can definitely understand the argument on both sides. But to me, like, you got to shower in the morning. Like, you need to, and the argument for that is you need to shower like that, it'll help wake you up, but also you're like clean and ready to go out for the day, whether you're going into work or maybe you end up going on a date or doing whatever. Like, I think it's important to, whatever you're going to be doing that day, you should be clean for, So that's where that comes from. And a lot of the argument on the other side is, well, you're going to get dirty during the day. Maybe you worked out or maybe you work like outside or something, and so you're going to be getting dirty throughout the day, which I completely understand. But they'll be like, you don't want to get your bed dirty. Well, the truth is your bed's already dirty. Like, if we're being honest, whether you shower at night or not, your bed is supposedly filthy. You can look at the statistics on it. So, like to me, the difference, if you're like, if you worked out like super hard and you like sweat up a storm and stuff, like, I would definitely shower again at night, right? Especially I don't like the like super like sticky feeling you can get after being outside and sweating a lot. But yeah, it's like on a day like that, I'd shower at night as well. But to me, like, you gotta shower in the morning. Like, that makes so much more sense to me. But I'd be curious to see what all of you say about that. Have you ever had a friend who takes forever to show up? And you're saying this actually, you asked this question because you had a friend that was supposed to come over at a specific time, and it was like an hour or two later, and they still weren't there. And you're like, it's a lack of respect. And I couldn't agree more with you about this. This is one of my pet peeves. It really is. Because like you said, it's literally all about respect. I mean, as I've gotten older, I've realized so much in life is just simply about communication. And I have had friends that do this, or coworkers, like whoever. And what's even more infuriating than somebody who's late like that is when they don't tell you. Because like I'm sure everybody has been late to something, whether you're hanging out with a friend or some event, like something came up, you have to be late, or even something came up and you have to cancel your plans, right? Like, that happens to everybody. That happens to everybody frequently. The problem is you need to communicate it. And so, but the problem is you have people that just don't communicate anything. So like your friend who was supposed to come over at 10 and it was an hour or two later, you hadn't heard from your friend. He's still not there. Like, to me, it's just like, how is this even possible? Like, I can't even imagine what's going on in your mind, because I'm like, okay, we had plans for you to come over here at 10. You're clearly not going to be here by 10. It's way past 10. And nothing's going off in your mind like, oh my gosh, I was supposed to be there an hour and a half ago. Like, I need to hurry up and get over there. Or like, if you're still in the middle of something, like something came up, why would you not be like, shoot, I was supposed to be there an hour and a half ago. I mean, I still won't be able to be there for like 30 minutes, but like, I really need to like let them know and be like, sorry that, blah, blah, blah came up. Like, I can, if it's all right, like I can still swing by and be there in like 30 minutes. Like, it's super easy. It's super simple, and it's just the courteous thing to do, and it's the right thing to do. Like, especially when you're like in the wrong, like you're the one who's not showing up like when you guys agreed on it. Like, you gotta bring out that communication, and it's so simple. It's such a simple thing to do. You're like, hey, sorry, something came up. I'm going to be 30, 45 minutes late. Is that all right? Yeah. And then like almost every time the other person's going to be like, yeah, of course. Like, no worries. Or, worst case scenario, it's like, oh, that doesn't work for me. Like, sorry, and it's like, oh, we'll reschedule, right? It's like, it's as simple as that. And like, I don't know. It's like, it's hard for me to process how people even go about like that. Cause like, again, in my mind, if I'm an hour and a half late to something that I planned with a friend or whoever, like, alarms are going off in my head like, oh my gosh, like this is terrible, and like I would have reached out to him way before that. Like it's like that to me that's completely and utterly ridiculous. And I think it just shows it's a lack of, I think it's I don't know, a little bit of a lack of empathy, but I don't think it's that these people lack empathy, because I mean some of like my friends and people that I know have done it who are like very caring people. I think it's just, some people are a lot more like just unaware and like don't have that kind of common sense about things like that. And that's okay. Like everybody's different, and everybody has things that they're better at in than others, and things that they struggle with, right? But the problem is you need to know what you struggle with, and that like you need to work on it. It's like if you struggle with communication, like you need to be able to acknowledge that and try to work on that moving forward. If you're like you're really bad at texting people back, like because what I find with a lot of people like this is they're just like, oh my gosh, like I'm such a bad texter, for instance, and like they almost just kind of use that like as an excuse, and so they never try to become a better texter or like try to respond at a more appropriate time. It's just like every time they're like, I'm just kind of a bad, I'm a bad texter, like, you know what I mean? And it's like a lot of these things are not difficult, and it's just as simple as like acknowledging it, and then but like the thing is acknowledging it isn't good enough. Like you have to then try to take the steps and be like, okay, I know I kind of struggle with this, like it shouldn't take me 24 hours to text somebody back, right? Like especially when in this age when your phone is on yourself 24/7, everyone takes their phone wherever they go. Like there's no reason for that unless you're like high up CEO that is dealing with like hundreds of people every day, right? Like, okay, yeah, I can understand not getting back to an email or something then, right? But like for most people that shouldn't be a problem. Or like, okay, I know I have a tendency to show up late for things. Okay, how about if plans are at 6, I start getting ready, and I normally get ready at 5:45. I start to get, I try getting ready at like 5:30 or 5:15, depending on where you're going. It's just simple things like that. There's little things that you can implement to improve on these areas that you lack at. And again, everybody has different areas that they struggle with. So it's just what you need to be able to identify, like what things that you kind of struggle with, and try to work on them, because so many things in life are working with others or communicating with others, and that's such an important thing, even like no matter what job that you're in. And so like you're gonna need to get better at these things, to once you start working. But also it's just good to do that with your friends too, like because it's just, I don't know, it can be incredibly annoying, like you said. Like, I mean, it's just very frustrating when your friend's supposed to come over at 10 and it's 11:30, and you, not only is he not there, you haven't heard from him. Like, what are you even supposed to do? Because, and you don't want to be the person like blowing up their phone and being like, where are you? Like, what happened? Why? Like, you don't want to be doing that. But at the same time, you're over there sitting, wondering, like being frustrated, and you're not. At the same time, you're probably not doing anything, right? Because you're not doing any work. You're not like doing any things that would take a long time, because you're like, well, if they show up, like I'm gonna be in the middle of this, like I can't do that, right? So if you wanted to work on, I don't know, you wanted to do some work from home, like you can't do that. You're like, oh, if I knew he was gonna show up at 12, I could have worked like an hour 30 minutes, right? Like if he told me ahead of time, won't be able to make 10, it's gonna be like 12, then you're like, okay, let me get some work done, or let me do the laundry or some chores, like whatever, right? Or like for me, like, oh, if I had plans at a certain time and then it gets pushed back, okay, I have time. Maybe I work on some homework for my class, or maybe I make a video, right? Like, but if I'm supposed to be, if I have plans at a certain time, at like I'll just say 6, if I have plans at 6, and then I'm not told that my friend isn't available till 7:30, I'm not going to be making a video, because I don't want to make a video and then, oh, my friend's actually ready at 6:15. They were just 15 minutes late. Okay, well, I'm in the middle of a video. Like I'm not ready. But then that's bad on me, because even though they weren't ready, now I'm not ready for them. So it's like I don't want to make them wait on me after I've already had to wait on them. You know what I mean? So it just becomes this tricky, awful situation that you really put the person waiting on you in a very tough spot, and it's just, don't do it. Like, so that's what I'll leave everybody with, is think about areas that you struggle with in your life. It could be with some form of communication, or it could be a completely different area, and just think about it, and then try to think about little ways that you could improve upon them, because your friends and your coworkers and whoever will greatly appreciate it, and it will, I think, greatly benefit you in the long run. So I think that's going to about wrap up this podcast. Thank you all so much for watching. Smash that like button if you enjoyed it. And comment down below if you made it this far into the video. You got to let me know. You got to let me know in the comments and tell me you made it this far. You are a real trooper. You are a real supporter. You're a real one. So I really appreciate that. And I know Hayden does too. Shouting down from the mountaintops far, far away, he's showing his love to you for making it this far. So yeah, once again, thank you all so much. Should be making more podcasts throughout the summer now. We'll try to get Ethan on, and eventually once Hayden comes back, me and him will continue to do podcasts. But yeah, and if you have any questions or topics for future episodes, can literally be about anything, any topic. Comment down below on this video, or if whenever they come up to you, you can comment on any random video if you want. So and yeah, again, remember, Discord will be linked in the description if you would like to join that, where we play, do game nights and other things like that. They're a lot of fun, great community we got there. So it's a great time if you want to be a part of it. And yeah, I think that about wraps it up here. Yeah, I'm just super excited to keep the journey going here on the channel. A lot more content. I mean, I'm super happy with the streams we've been putting out, and got a lot more cool content on the way is the idea. So yeah, thank you all so much for the support on the channel throughout like this we're not quite at, the channel's been up for over a year, but we're not quite at, like, we started going a lot harder on the channel in like September, I feel like, of last year. So it's kind of when we picked it back up after the summer. And yeah, so I don't know, I don't even know what I'm saying. I'm just rambling. I'm just gonna end this. Yeah, thank you all so much for the support. Whether you're newer to the channel or you've been here for quite a while, really appreciate it. And yeah, stay tuned for more podcasts and more content. I will see you in the next one.